Hello everyone and welcome to today's NinjaTrader Charting Level 1 webinar. Before we begin, I would like to do a quick test of picture and sound, so if you can hear my voice and see the image I'm projecting, go ahead and type a Y into the room now. Alright, thanks guys. I'll take that sampling to indicate that I am coming in loud and clear. Just to introduce myself, my name is Matthew Hendricks and I'm a member of the support team located here in Denver, Colorado. NinjaTrader is a free application for advanced charting, market analytics, automated strategy development, and trade simulation. We only charge for our product if and when you decide to trade live through any of the over 100 supported brokers worldwide. I'm going to go ahead and start a poll into the room now, which is asking, are you currently using NinjaTrader? Please press the green 1 if you're a live license user, the red 2 if you're a free license user, or the orange 3 if you're not yet using NinjaTrader. And while you fill that out, I would like to remind everyone that NinjaTrader is a growing business and word of mouth is extremely helpful in allowing us to keep our subscription fees low. So if you see value in our products and services, we'd appreciate any mentions of our company in any discussion boards or trading rooms you'd participate in, as well as with any friends, family, or colleagues you may have trading at this time. And I am pleased to announce that today's event is being sponsored by Easy Color Trading, your gateway to the futures world. NinjaTrader has an extensive network of third-party trading educators and add-on providers, and if you've not already done so, we would suggest you check out all of the partners on the NinjaTrader website. We also provide free weekly partner introduction events so you can learn more about our partners, and Easy Color Trading will be conducting a webinar on Thursday, December 22nd at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. So please join us in this event to learn more about their products and services, and also visit the NinjaTrader website to see all of the upcoming partner events. So it looks like just about everyone got a chance to fill out this poll. It looks like we do have a majority of free license users in the room, and it looks like we do have an even split between our live licensed users and those of you who are not yet using NinjaTrader. Now, for those of you who have not already done so, I would highly recommend visiting this next link I'm going to provide in the room, where you can go ahead and register for your free NinjaTrader license key. Everything that we're going to be discussing today can be done using the free NinjaTrader license key. So if you would like to register and download and install NinjaTrader to follow along, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Now, for those of you who are ready to take the next step to trade live, which is the only point that we're going to ask that you purchase NinjaTrader, you can go ahead and review our purchase options from the purchase link I've just provided in the room. Of course, if you do have any questions on any of the purchase or lease options that we have available, you can always email sales@ninjatrader.com. And I'd just like to remind everyone that this is an interactive webinar, so questions will be welcome during this process, and there will be room, if we have time at the end of the webinar, we will be taking some additional questions. I just ask that you try to keep the questions relevant to the topic we're discussing to keep the flow of the webinar smooth for everyone. If you do have any off-topic questions, please hold these until the end of the webinar, where I'd be more than happy to answer any general NinjaTrader questions you may have. Now, if there's anything that I cannot answer for you, I might redirect you to email support@ninjatrader.com, where we have a full staff of support technicians waiting eagerly to assist you. Now, it's also important to note that NinjaTrader is not a data provider or a broker. Therefore, you will need to be connected to one of our supported data providers. NinjaTrader supports equities, futures, and Forex markets. Kinetic has been designed to be the optimal market data feed for NinjaTrader 7, and it's free for end-of-day data for stocks, futures, and Forex. Streaming real-time quote services start as little as $50 a month, and you can have your CME exchange fees waived with a qualified brokerage account. If you'd like to learn more about Kinetic and the services they're offering to NinjaTrader 7, please feel free to visit the Kinetic link I've just provided in the room. Otherwise, if you would like to learn more about all of our supported historical and real-time data providers, you may do so from the help guide link that I've just provided in the room on historical data, where you'll see a breakdown of all the data providers we support, as well as the markets they support and whether they're providing tick, minute, or end-of-day data to NinjaTrader. I'd also like to provide you with a link to the general help guide. This is the same help guide that is distributed with the software, but we do have an online version. And if you'd like to follow along during today's presentation, we are going to be focusing on charting. If you're more of a visual learner and you would like a moment to review after today's webinar, I'm also going to send you a link here to the video library, where a lot of the charting concepts we're going to be discussing today will be discussed in detail in the video library. Now, if there's no preliminary questions here, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. Once again, please feel free to type any questions you have at the moment into the room here. Otherwise, I'm going to minimize out of our charting level 1 outline, and what you should see appear on the screen now is the NinjaTrader Control Center. For those of you who have not already installed NinjaTrader, this is actually the first window that appears as soon as NinjaTrader is installed and running. This is what we refer to as our gateway to all things NinjaTrader. And all the advanced features of NinjaTrader can be brought up from the File New menu. However, before we can use any of these features, we do need to make sure that we are connected to a supported data provider. Now, I've already set up a real-time kinetic connection, which I'm going to be using in today's presentation. Now, if you don't quite yet have a data provider or a broker, I'd just like to remind everyone that NinjaTrader 7 does come pre-configured with the kinetic end-of-day free connection, which would provide you free end-of-day data. So that's daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly intervals. However, for any intraday data, you will need to make sure you're connected to the real-time connection. So I'm going to go ahead and get connected to this real-time kinetic connection for today's presentation by selecting from the Connect menu. And as soon as you get connected, you see that in the bottom left-hand corner of the Control Center, it does say that it's connected in green. And we have data moving here in the Control Center. Now, as far as accessing a chart, the first thing that we'll need to do is come up here to the File menu, select New, and then we can select Chart. Now, as you can see, this doesn't quite bring up a chart yet. What we have here is the Data Series menu. And the Data Series menu is actually what you would use to configure the chart that you would like to bring up. So you can see that we do have a few pre-configured symbols here. We do have a default instrument list, which is going to give you some of the most popular futures contracts. Now, if you're interested in stocks, you can see we do have the entire Dow 30 listed here, as well as the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500. If there's anything in particular you're looking for, you should be able to find it in that list. However, if what you're looking for isn't available from there, you can always bring it up by typing that into the Data Series menu. For example, if we wanted to bring up the February crude oil contract, we could just type in CL and then February 2012. Come down here and select New, and you can see that's going to add the crude oil February contract down below. But I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and I'd just also like to point out that if maybe you're not quite sure what the symbol is or what the current contract is for any of, for what you're trying to bring up, you can always look up any of the symbols that are pre-configured here by coming to this ellipses or this dot, dot, dot box, which brings up an instrument lookup window. And as you can see, there are over 700 instruments that come pre-configured in the current version of NinjaTrader. Since we are connected to Kinetic, you can see we do have access to currency, futures, indexes, and stocks. So if we would like to filter out some of these, let's say, for example, we just want to look at the futures contracts, we can go ahead and select futures from the type drop-down menu and select search. And you can see what that's done is change the number of instruments here to only display futures contracts. So you should be able to go through this list and find what you're looking for. If the list is too large for you, you can always search by the name. So for example, if we were looking for the crude oil, we could always type in CL and then select search. And you can see that will isolate that. Let's say, for example, maybe you don't know the exact symbol that you're looking for, but you do know the name of the product. You could always type it into the description and search from there. So for example, we can type gold and select search. And you can see that will bring up all of the different instruments that do have gold in the description. And what I was looking for was the COMEX gold futures, and you can see the name here is GC. So we can just go ahead and highlight that and double click on it. And you can see that's added the current gold contract up above. Once we've verified that, you can go ahead and select New to bring that up. But I would like to work here on the E-mini S&P March contract. So I'm going to just go ahead and select that from our default instrument list and come down here and select New. Once we've got the data series applied here, you can see that over on the right side, you'll then be able to configure different settings, such as the period or the chart style. I see Ali's asking here, how can you show the remaining time on the chart, 3-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute? That's a great question, Ali. That would be done by using the bar timer indicator, and I'd be happy to demonstrate that for you here once we get into our indicator. So if I don't get to that, just remind me, and I'd be happy to show you how to do that. All right, so as you can see, that did bring up a 1-minute chart for the data series at least. If you'd like to change this, you can always do this from the data series menu. You can see that you can change the type. So by default, it does go to a minute, but you can see that we've got a few tick intervals that you can use, such as tick, volume, range, and second. If you're interested in using any of these intervals, you will need to make sure that you're connected to a supported data provider who offers historical tick data to bring up any historical data for those intervals. Of course, there's the minute series. Down below there, there's also going to be the end of day intervals, the daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. So if you are using that kinetic end of day connection, you will want to make sure that you're using one of these intervals. And then down below, we do have a few more advanced charting concepts, such as the Kagi, Rinko, point and figure, and line break charts. But I'd like to just work with a minute chart here, so we're just going to reselect minute. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and specify the value you'd like to enter. So rather than a 1 minute chart, let's say, for example, we wanted to bring up a 15-minute chart, we can do that by just changing the value to 15. Just a few other options to show here on the data series menu. You can see you can change the chart style when you're creating this chart. So it is going to default to the candlestick chart, but as you'll see, if we come to the drop-down menu, there are also a box style, a high-low, line on close, and open high-low close bars. But I'd like to just continue working with our candlesticks. Down below, you can see you would be able to configure any of the colors for the up bars, the down bars, the wick, the candle outline, and some various style options depending on the style of chart you've selected. I'm going to leave these all as default. If you'd like, you can always get back to this data series menu and reconfigure once we've brought up the chart. Down below, you can specify some data parameters here for your chart. So as you can see, by default, it does come to 5 days worth of data. If you'd like to increase that, you could always change the days to load value there. And the end date, that should come up to the last date. You will want to make sure that that is on the current date. And then this is a very important concept here. This is the session template option, which is going to configure the start and the end times for your chart. So by default, most of the futures contracts and a lot of stocks are going to bring up the extended trading hours. So that's going to be overnight data. But let's say, for example, you would like your chart to just come up using just the cash session only. So what you would want to do is come down through the session template list and select the exchange and the type of asset that you're working with. So for example, we're using the E-mini S&P futures contract. So we know that's a CME product, and we know that that's an index future. So you can see we've there are two options here. There's the US Index Futures ETH and CME US Index Futures RTH. So ETH is going to be the extended trading hours. So that's going to be opening at 3:30 p.m. Central and closes at 3:15 p.m. Central the next day. But if you just wanted to chart the cash session only, you can do that by setting the US Index Futures RTH, which would be 8:30 a.m. Central Time until 3:15 p.m. Central Time. But of course, maybe you don't want to filter any of the data here. You just would like to display it just as it comes from your data provider. You can always use that default 24/7 session template, and that's going to just display the data as it comes into NinjaTrader. And then down below, there's several visual properties that you can use. We don't necessarily have time to get into any of these, but I would just like to take a moment to point out that NinjaTrader does come installed with a content-sensitive help guide. So you might be familiar with other applications. When you press F1, it immediately opens the help guide. Well, with NinjaTrader, we've taken this one step further. When you press F1 on your keyboard, not only does it open the help guide, but it opens the help guide directly to the topic that you're viewing. So for example, we're on the data series menu right now. If I press F1 on my keyboard, you can see it has opened the NinjaTrader version 7 help guide, but you can see that did immediately open us to the charts and working with price data section. And then from here, you would be able to review all of these topics here. And if you do have any questions on what any of these data series parameters are, you would be able to view any of that information under the relevant topic. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this help guide right now, and we're going to go ahead and just create this chart. So once again, this is a 15-minute ES March contract. So we'll go ahead and just hit OK on that. And it's opened up a chart on my other monitor. Let me go ahead and just bring that into view for you. And you can see that's quickly populated this chart. Now, as far as the chart display itself, there are a few options I just wanted to point out here, just starting with the toolbar. You can see from the charting toolbar there is the ability to change the instrument that you're charting. So this is that default instrument list that we saw from the data series menu. And you can see that you would be able to quickly change to any other market just by selecting that symbol. To the right of that, there's an interval drop-down menu where you can actually select and change the type of interval that you're loading. So rather than a 15-minute chart, we could quickly switch over to a 5-minute chart. Or as you can see, there are also some end-of-day intervals down below. Now, what you're not going to see listed here is any of those intraday tick intervals like tick, volume, range, and second. Now, the reason that they're not listed there is because you actually have the ability to change the data series directly from the chart itself just by typing on it. So I'd like to just demonstrate how this works for a few different intervals. So the first thing that you would want to do is just simply left-click on the chart just to make sure that's your active window. Once you have that selected, you can go ahead and just simply type in the value you'd like to change to. So for example, if I wanted to load a 150 tick chart, I can just type 150 and then T for tick, and then press enter. And you can see that's now downloading that tick data, and as soon as that gets populated, we're going to see that reflected in the chart. So let me demonstrate that again. We're just going to left click on the chart, and without changing anything else, we're just going to type on the chart itself. So we could bring up maybe a 233 tick chart just by typing 233 and T for tick. You can actually get to any interval using this method. So for example, if you're interested in a 4 range chart, you can do that by typing 4 for the value and then R for range and press enter. And you can see as soon as that data gets loaded, it's going to construct a 4 range chart for us. And another example here is with a minute chart, that would just be 3M for a 3-minute chart. So you can actually get to any interval that you'd like here. So even any of the unlisted intervals, for whatever reason, maybe your strategy needs a 17-minute chart loaded, you can specify 17 minutes, even though that's not pre-configured from that list up above. So you can see typing directly on the chart is a very efficient way to change the data series. Not only can you change the interval itself from that method, you can actually change the instrument. So right now we're on the ES March contract. Let's say we wanted to get over to the NQ very quickly. We can just type that in again. So we'll type NQ and then March and then press enter, and you can see it's rebuilt that chart with the NQ data. A few more items I'd like to point out from this toolbar up above is you do have the ability to change the bar style. So you'll remember from the data series menu that we first brought up that we chose a candlestick chart. At this point, if we would like to switch over to maybe an open, high, low, close, you can do that just by selecting that menu. As you can see, we do have line on close and high-low bars. From this menu, you'll see you'll also have the ability to change the bar spacing and the bar width. Now, you'll also notice that there are some shortcuts for doing that. So for example, if you'd like to change the bar spacing, you can do that by holding down the control key on your keyboard and then pressing the down button or the up button. So for example, we'll get back to our chart, and I'd like to just hold down the control key on my keyboard now, and I'm going to press the down button. And you can see what that is doing is increasing the space between each bar. If we'd like to decrease that space, we can do that by holding control and pressing up. And then another option here is to change the bar width itself, and you can do that by holding the Alt key on your keyboard. And down will make those bars wider, and then Alt and up will make those bars thinner. Pete is asking, can you change the colors to a darker green, for instance? Pete, absolutely you can. So to do that, what you would need to do is get back into the data series menu. There's 2 ways to get into that. If you have your chart toolbar available, there is a data series menu option here. You can either select that, or you can also right-click on the chart and select data series. You'll find many of these toolbar items are available from the right-click context menu as well. And you can see you would also be able to hit Control and then F on your keyboard to quickly bring up that data series menu. With that said, we'll go ahead and bring up that data series, and you'll remember this is that window we were using earlier when we were creating this chart. If you'd like to change the color for these bars, you can absolutely do that. So rather than a light green color, we can change this to maybe a dark green. So we'll go with a forest green. And then for the color for the down bars, instead of a red, we'll go with a maroon. And then we'll just go ahead and hit OK. And you can see that has effectively changed the color of the bars. Now, if we change back from this high-low bar to maybe a candlestick, you'll see that it will revert back. So we would need to change that as well. So if that's candlesticks we want to work with, we'll want to make sure to change the color for up and down bars back to our pre-configured colors. And you can see that you do have the ability to do that directly from this data series menu. You can also change the color outline and the wick color, for example. Moving along this toolbar, you'll also see there is a drawing tools drop-down menu. We will get into this in more detail in just a moment, but just so you are aware, there are a handful of drawing tools available, many lines, Fibonacci objects, and some chart markers and different symbols you can draw on the chart. There's also a magnifying tool here where you can zoom in or zoom out of the chart. So you can see you can come here to zoom in, for example, and if you'd like to zoom to a particular period, you can see your cursor now turns into a magnifying glass. And if you'd like to zoom in on just this range here, you can click and drag by holding the left mouse button, which is going to allow you to select an area. Once you have that selected, just go ahead and let go of the mouse, and you can see that zoomed in. You do have the ability to zoom in multiple times. And once you've zoomed in, you can also get back out just by hitting the zoom tool to zoom out a few times. And eventually you will see that zoom out tool turn gray, which is going to indicate you're currently zoomed out as far as possible. DI is asking, can you change the bid and ask? Or excuse me, can you see the bid and ask? Absolutely you can. There are a few indicators that will do that. There's also a chart trader tool, which if we have time, we'll get into this a bit, but that's going to be this fifth icon from the right. What this is going to allow you to do is trade directly from the chart, but really handy. So you can see on the right side, it does show you the ask and bid via that chart trader menu. But like I said, there are a few indicators that are available that will also display some of this information for you. Janice is saying your voice is getting a little low. Is it possible to speak a little louder, please? Janice, let me try turning up my mic here. And if anyone else is having any audio issues, please let me know. All right, yeah, as far as seeing the bid and ask on the graph, there are a few options for you. If you right-click on the chart and go back to the data series menu, you can change the price that's based on, the type of data that the price is based on. By default, you're looking at a last price chart, but you can see you could also switch that to the bid and ask as long as your data provider offers historical bid and ask data. Now, as far as the current bid and ask, there are a few indicators that would display that information for you as well. And Ali's asking what indicator for the time remaining on the chart. Ali, that is the bar timer. And like I said, I will be happy to show you that once we get to the indicators. Now, I showed you how to zoom in and out of the chart here using the zoom tool. There are a few other ways to navigate the chart. So for example, if you'd like to scroll back on the chart, you can do that by coming down to this scroll bar. And you can see you can use that to scroll backwards as well as ahead. You can also use the cursor, the scroll wheel on your mouse. So for example, if you'd like to scroll backwards, you can just scroll down on that scroll wheel, and that's going to scroll the chart backwards. And you can scroll up to advance the chart ahead. Another method here is just by clicking and dragging on the chart itself. So if we just left click anywhere in this white area, you can see we can drag this to the left and drag it to the right. Now, one thing you may have noticed as we're navigating this chart is there is a return arrow that appears in the top right-hand corner of the chart. Now, this is just going to give you an indication of where you are relative to the last bar on the chart. So when this is available, that's going to indicate that we are currently behind the last bar on the chart. If we'd like to automatically return to that, we can do that by selecting this return arrow button. and you can see that's returned us to the last bar on the chart, and you can see that arrow has disappeared. Now you'll also see the same thing if you move ahead of the chart. You can see there's also a return arrow, but the appearance is a bit different. So when the chart return arrow is hollow, what that is indicating to you is that you are currently ahead of the current bar of the chart. Once again, if you'd like to get back to that, you can just select that return arrow. But you'll notice as we move backwards that is filled in a solid color just to indicate that you're currently behind. So that's going to be filled in when you're behind and hollow when you're ahead. You can also change the scale of the chart itself. For example, if you'd like to compress the time series here to view a wider range of data for what you have selected, you can do that by single left clicking on this time series. And when you drag to the right, you can see what that's going to do is compress the bars together to allow you to view a wider range of data. If you'd like to decompress these bars and zoom in a little further, you can do that by clicking and dragging to the left. You can see that's going to decompress the series here and allow you to zoom in. You can also do the same thing for the price axis. So if you click and drag down, you can see that's going to compress the bars vertically. And if we click and drag up, that is going to decompress the bars. You also have the ability to physically move the bars up and down. There was a question here from Norm asking, can you keep the last price centered on the chart? Norm, now by default, NinjaTrader is going to use an automatic scaling, which is just going to ensure that each bar on the chart is in view as far as the scale is concerned. But you can also get into a fixed scaling, which is indicated by this F box, where you can actually specify the exact range that you'd like to view. So as you can see here, we've set this to a fixed scaling. And right now we have a scale between about 1250 and 1224. If we'd like to move that up a bit, you can see you can hold the control key on your keyboard and drag the price series up, and you'd be able to recompress that. So if you'd like that to be centered as possible, you'd be able to change the scaling of the chart. Now it's important to note that when you're in this fixed scaling, you're essentially telling the chart that you would like to only view this range of data. So as you can see, as we're in the fixed scaling, some of these chart bars are cutting off. If we scroll back on the chart, you can see that the price axis here does not automatically rescale. And you can see that it's staying within that fixed scale that we'd specified. Now, if you need to get back to the automatic scaling so the chart bars aren't cutting off and the scale is automatically readjusted, you can simply do that by selecting this F box in the top right-hand corner, which is automatically going to return the chart to an automatic scaling. So as you can see, as we navigate the chart, it's going to automatically rescale the price axis to ensure all of the bars that are visible on the chart are within scale. See, there were a few questions that came in the room here. Let's see. Janice is saying when I click on the chart trader icon, it does not come up. I'm using Woody CCI template, and they do use chart trader. Janice, there are a few things that may prevent you from using that. For example, you may have a strategy enabled on the chart that could disable chart trader. What I would suggest doing is emailing support@ninjatrader.com and reporting this, and they should be able to help identify what's preventing that from opening. I'm sure we can get that going for you, but there's just a few details that we're going to need to understand before we can give you a resolution there. James is asking, do you need a 3-mouse button? James, commonly, yes, most mice are going to have 3 buttons on them. Now, if you're looking down at your mouse and only see a left and right click, just keep in mind that most modern mice are going to have a scroll wheel, which is also going to replicate a click function. So if you push down on that scroll wheel, that should be that middle mouse button. And Ali, yes, I will get to the bar timer, no problem. As soon as we're in our indicator section, I'll be happy to answer that question for you, Ali. All right, guys. Now, another really neat feature in NinjaTrader 7 is we have given the ability to add multiple data series to the chart. So what you can see is we have an ES March contract, a 17-minute chart. One thing that you can do is actually add a second data series to the chart. So maybe you wanted to look at the correlation between the S&P 500 and the YM mini Dow. You can add that second data series to the chart by right-clicking on the chart and select data series. So you can see we do have that 17-minute chart. We can go ahead and change that back over to a more common. We'll go with a 5-minute this time. Now that we have that selected, what we can do is come down to the default instrument list, and we'll select that YM mini Dow contract. Just double click on that to add it down below. So you can see there are now 2 data series added to this chart. There's a 5-minute and a 1-minute. What we'll want to do in this example, I would like to set both of these to a 5-minute data series so I can compare them bar for bar. So now that we have a 5-minute of both the ES and the YM selected here, we can go ahead and hit OK on our data series menu. And you can see what that's added down below is the 5-minute YM data series. You can also drag and drop these data series into another panel. As you can see, we have a upper panel and a panel down below. So this is going to be panel 1 and panel 2. If you right-click on the chart and go to data series, you will see this reflected here. It will show you which panel each one of these is in under the panel option. If we wanted to set that YM chart to the first panel, we could just set this to panel 1, but more efficiently, another thing that we can do is come here and just click on the data series itself. You're going to see a number of black boxes appear just to indicate that you have selected that data series. Once you have that selected, you can go ahead and just drag that up to the first panel. And what you can see here is we now have a 5-minute ES on the right scale, and on the left scale, we've got the 5-minute YM. Now, as you can see that these are kind of blending together here, so another thing that you can do is right-click on the chart and come to data series, and we can actually change the chart style for maybe just the YM. So for example, we can come here and instead of having the maroon and forest green, we could set this to maybe a brighter red and a brighter green. And that's going to give us a better idea of exactly what data series is what here. You can see if we change the scaling on the left side, that's only changing the YM data series, and the same for the right side. You'd also be able to just physically move these each one of these axes up and down, so you could also set these on top of each other, or if you'd like, you can always get back to that automatic scaling, which is just going to align each of those up horizontally and vertically. As far as removing the data series, you can do that by simply just left-clicking on the data series you wish to remove. I'm going to change the scale just to ensure that we do have that YM selected. Once you have that selected, we'll just hit the delete key on our keyboard, and we've now removed that, and we now just have the 5-minute ES contract. Another question that came into the room here. Janice is asking, is Ninjatrader compatible with Apple? Janice, Ninjatrader is a Microsoft developed product, and it does require the .NET framework to run. However, we do have few users that have been able to install Ninjatrader on their Macs by way of using virtualization technology such as Parallels or VMware Fusion. If you'd like instructions on how to set that up, Janice, please email support@ninjatrader.com and just ask them for instructions on installing Ninjatrader on an Apple, and I would be happy to provide you with the details on how to do so. Frank is asking, how can I see the daily data for 6 months for a futures item? For example, can you see 6 months of daily data for the ES March contract? Right, Frank, that would definitely be possible. So the first thing you'd want to do is change this to a daily chart. There's a couple ways to do that. You can come to the drop-down menu and select daily. You'd also be able to just right-click on the chart and select data series and make sure that's set to a day chart. And then from there, you could specify exactly how many days that you would like to load. If you want to specify an exact date, you can always come here from days and set this to a custom range. So from here, we'd be able to specify exactly 6 months back. So we can go to 6/21, 2011, 2011, and we'll go ahead and just hit OK. And you can see what we've loaded here is simply 6 months worth of data. If you'd like to see that all at once, you can just change the scaling of the chart to get that all in view for you. Janice asking, will you be able to show us how to use ChartTrader? Absolutely. I intend to, if we have time towards the end of the webinar. If you're interested in ChartTrader, I'd just like to remind everyone that we do have a ChartTrader specific webinar where the presenter will spend about 30 to 45 minutes discussing ChartTrader with you. So if you are interested in that feature, please definitely keep that in mind. I believe our next session is going to be Friday, December 23rd at noon Eastern Standard Time. But I'd be happy to show you what we have time for here, Janice. All right, now there are some additional properties that we can configure on this chart to change the appearance of it and how some things function. So in order to access these properties, we'll need to right-click on the chart and select Properties, which will bring up the general chart properties. So commonly, I'm sure one of the first things you want to do is change the style of the chart as far as the appearance is concerned. So you can see there are a few color options that you can change here. If you come down to the Windows section here, you can change the color background. So instead of a white, we can change this to a black, for example. Make it a little easier on the eyes if that's your preference, and select Apply. You can see that's changed the background of the chart, but you can see that now our time and price access, it's also set to black. So what we'll want to do is come here to the color for access. Instead of having this set to a black, we'd want to have this set to a color that we'd be able to see on this background. So we can change that to silver, for example, and then select Apply. A couple other properties that are available here. You'll notice that the chart does have these horizontal and vertical grid lines. Now you can change the appearance of these, or as far as the color and the style of the line, or you can completely turn them off if you'd like, and that's here from the grid lines option. So we can come here to the horizontal grid lines, for example. Maybe we want to make those a bit thicker. We can change the width to 2. Maybe we want to change the appearance. Instead of a solid color, we can make that a dash, and then select Apply, and you can see that's changed just the horizontal lines. Maybe you want to completely disable these lines, so the vertical line, for example, instead of plot vertical lines to true, we can change this to false, select Apply, and what we have here now is a chart with just the horizontal lines enabled and the vertical disabled. You can also just turn these off completely if you just send the plot horizontal grid lines to false, and select Apply. Now, one thing that you may have noticed here, since we changed the background color to black, is we can no longer see the wicks and the outline color. That's because those are also set to a black color. So what we'll want to do is right-click on the chart and select Data Series, and we'll want to configure the outline and the wick color. So when we're dealing with the appearance of the chart itself, that's configured from the Properties menu. If you're concerned about changing the appearance of the data series, which is going to be your candlesticks or the bars on your chart, you do this from the Data Series menu. So instead of a black background, we can change this to, let's go with a white. That should stick out nice for us. And then for our wick colors, instead of black or white, we'll actually make this silver, just so those a little more apparent for us. Go ahead and hit OK on that. You can see that's changed the color of the outline and the wick, so that you can see that's a bit easier to see on our black background. I'm going to go back into the Properties menu. And just a few other common questions that we get. You do have the ability to turn on and off ChartTrader directly from this menu. So instead of coming down up to that option at the top, you can come here and select that to true, or you can set it to false. You can see you can also turn the scroll bar off. So if you'd like to save a bit of your screen real estate, you can just turn this off by setting this to false. Select Apply, and you can see that's removed that scroll bar. But even with that removed, we still have the ability to navigate the chart just by clicking and dragging on the chart itself, or by using the scroll wheel on our mouse. And then another option here is turning the toolbar off. So we can come down here and change that from true to false. That's regarding this toolbar up above. Once again, if you'd like to just save some screen real estate, You can set all these to false, and you can see that's removed that. But you can still access some of these items just by right-clicking and coming to this context menu. You can see you can get to the drawing tools. You can change the interval, the instrument. You can even get to that data series menu indicator. So a lot of that will be available even with the chart toolbar turned off. Now, if you have some options on here that you always want to bring up in the future, rather than having to reconfigure that for each chart, what you can do is come here and hit set default, and that's going to save all of these properties. So that's going to be the color properties and any of these other general properties that we have set here. All right. If there are any questions regarding the chart properties, please feel free to go ahead and type those into the room. Janice is asking about drawing arrow on the chart. Janice, are you asking if you'd like to manually draw an arrow on the chart, or would you like, or are you saying there is an arrow on your chart already? While Janice is clarifying there, the next topic we're going to be talking about here today is indicators. And Ninjatrader 7 does come pre-configured with over 100 default indicators, including many power volume indicators. Now you can access these indicators by right-clicking on the chart and selecting indicators. It's going to bring up the list of indicators that are available here, so you can see that there are over 100 pre-configured indicators that come pre-installed. Now, if there's anything that you're looking for that's not listed here, I would encourage you to take a look at our support forum where we have a NinjaScript file sharing section where that's going to refer to any custom indicators and strategies. So maybe the indicator you're looking for is not pre-configured, or maybe you'd like a different version of one of the pre-configured indicators. NinjaTrader is extensible in that you can create your own custom indicators based on the C# programming language. And that's going to be NinjaScript. If you're interested in taking a look at any of the indicators that any of our forum members or other developers have contributed and shared with you, you can go ahead and do that by clicking on that link I've just provided to the NinjaScript file sharing section of the support forum. And now keep in mind that you do need to be registered on the support forum and logged in order to access those, but you are free to go ahead and browse those at the moment. Right, so from our indicators menu, let's say, for example, we wanted to bring up and add a moving average to this daily chart that we have open. What we're looking for is a simple moving average, so what we'll want to do is come down here and locate the SMA indicator. Once we have that located, we'll just go ahead and highlight that and then select New to apply it to our chart. Once you have that applied, you can see that there are some different parameters we can configure. So instead of a 14-period moving average, we can make this maybe a 50-period moving average. And then there's some additional options that you can configure. We'll get into some of these here in just a bit, but for now, I just want to go ahead and hit apply and add that 200-period moving average to our chart. And you can see we do have this orange line drawn on the chart, which represents our moving average. And now you can also change the appearance of this indicator as you can with most indicators. If you come down here to the plot section and expand this group here, instead of an orange color for the SMA, we can change this to another color if we'd like. So we'll make that yellow, for example. You also have the ability to change the dash style. So instead of a solid line, you can make that maybe a dotted line. We also have the ability to change the width as well. So instead of a 1 pixel width there, we can increase that to 2, make that a bit thicker. And hit OK, and you can see that we've now effectively changed the appearance of that indicator. Now, if we right-click and come back to indicators, I just wanted to point out that it is possible to add multiple indicators to the same chart. So, for example, if we wanted to add another moving average, we can come down back to the SMA, highlight that, and select New. And let's say we wanted to add a 20-period moving average as well. We can do that just by changing the period to 20. Select Apply, and OK, and you can see that we now have a 20-period moving average as well as that 50-period moving average. Pete is asking, are these webinars archived for viewing after the fact? Pete, I am happy to announce that we are in the process of recording these webinars, and we should see these hosted very shortly. I don't have an ETA on when to expect this, but very shortly you should start seeing these webinars hosted for you to rewatch at your own pace. All right, there's just a few other options here. I did want to get into the bar timer indicator that Ali was asking about. So we'll come here to right-click on the chart and select Indicators. And right at the top, you're going to see an indicator listed as bar timer. Just highlight that and select New, and then hit OK. And down below, you can see that's going to tell us it's only going to work on intraday-based intervals. Well, that's because we're now on a daily interval. If we'd like to get this to work, we can right-click on the chart, and I'm going to change this to just a 3-minute data series. And you can see what we have down below is the time remaining for the bar on the chart. So this is a 3-minute data series. You can see there are about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. If we change to another interval, let's say maybe a 10-minute, it's also going to reflect that, so you can see there's about 4 minutes left in this 10-minute bar. And once again, that is the bar timer indicator, and that's available if you right-click on the chart and select Indicators. You will see the bar timer. Now, if you're working with maybe a tick chart or range chart, I just wanted to point out that there are some other counters available. If we come down here, you'll see that there is a tick counter, which would count down how many ticks are left in the bar if you're working with a tick bar, or there's also a range counter. So those are available for you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go back into our indicators menu, and there's just a few options I wanted to show you here from the applied SMA indicators we have on here. A very important one here is the calculate on bar close option, which by default is going to be set to true. What the calculate on bar close option is going to dictate how frequently your indicator updates. So right now we've got a 20 period moving average and a 50 period moving average on a 10-minute data series. When this is set to calculate on bar close to true, what that is going to do is prevent the indicator from updating until the next bar closes. So that means that this indicator is only going to update every 10 minutes on this particular data series. If we had it on a 1-minute chart, we would see that indicator update every 1 minute. Now, maybe you need to process these signals faster than that. You can always change this from true to false. And then once you select apply, you can see that is going to change how that indicator is calculated. You should see that change reflected with each incoming tick as that indicator might be changed at that moment. Now, it's important to note that when you set this to false, that is more CPU intensive. So the more frequently the indicator is updating, the more CPU cycles that's going to use. So if you are on a computer with limited resource, the calculate on bar close setting, we do recommend setting that to true where possible. All right, now a very common question that we usually get in these webinars is regarding multiple data series and how can you get an indicator to calculate from another data series. It is definitely possible using NinjaTrader 7. Now, for an example, maybe we've got this 20 period SMA and the 50 period SMA, but we'd like to have the 20 period, instead of calculated from the default input series, which is that 10-minute, maybe we'd like to change that to a quicker interval, like a 5-minute. The first thing that we would need to do is right-click on the chart and select Data Series. And we do need to make sure that we have that second data series added to our chart. So we can come here and select the E-mini March contract and select New. And like I said, we want to calculate that from a 5-minute data series. So we'll want to come here and change that minute value to 5. Now that we have that set up, we'll go ahead and hit OK. And you can see what we have here is a 10-minute data series above and a 5-minute data series below. Now what we want to do is change this 20 period moving average to calculate from this 5-minute data series. In order to do that, we'll need to just right-click on the chart and select Indicators. Locate that 20 period moving average. And then from the parameter, or from the data options here, you will see an input series. And you can see by default that it has went to the primary input series, which is the 10-minute. If we highlight this box, you can select this ellipses menu, and that's going to bring up the input series menu. So you can see right now that indicator is being calculated from a 10-minute data series, the close of that data series. You have the ability to change that to maybe the high, the low, etc. But what we want to do is just collapse this. We want to calculate this particular indicator from the close of the 5-minute data series. So we'll go ahead and select the close of the 5-minute and then hit OK. And you can see that change reflected here. We now have the 50 period moving average on a 10-minute data series and the 20-period moving average on a 5-minute. Now that we have that set up, we can go ahead and hit OK. And you can see now down below, we do have that 20-period moving average, which is calculated from the 5-minute data series. But let's take this one step further. Maybe we'd still like to see this indicator plotted on the primary data series. So what you can do, just like we did with the multiple data series before, we can single left click on this indicator, which is going to bring up a series of dots just to indicate that you have selected that. And then you can go ahead and just drag this up towards the top panel. Let me change the scaling there. We'll go back to the automatic, and you can see we've now added that indicator that's on the left panel now. Now, as far as the appearance, you might have some preferences on how you'd like this to appear. So rather than having this indicator plotted on the left panel, if you right-click on the chart and select indicators, you can see that we have the scale justification for that 50 period set to the right, and you see that there. You can also come here and set the scale justification from the left on that 20 period to the right, and then hit OK, and you can see that indicator is now on the right panel. Now we can even take this one step further if you'd like. Maybe we want to completely hide this data series. We'd like to use the 5-minute data series, but there's no reason in our sample today that we need to actually see this data series. What you can do is right-click on the chart and select data series. Come down here to the 5 period, and what we're going to do is change the candle outline to transparent. So that's going to effectively hide this from the chart. So we're going to change each one of these options to a transparent color. That's going to leave the data series on the chart, but it's also going to hide it from being viewed as well. Go ahead and select apply. You can see that's hidden the data series. There's one last step we'll want to do to completely hide this. You can see this is data series is on panel 2. If we want to change this to panel 1, we'll go ahead and change the panel to 1 and then hit OK. And you can see now what we've done is built a 20 period moving average built off a 5-minute data series that's plotted over a 10-minute data series and effectively hidden the 5-minute data series. See, Norm is asking, can you get the daily moving average to show on a single panel in the 15-minute chart? Sure, you would be able to do that, Norm. So if you want to right-click on the chart and select data series, we can change the primary data series to 15-minute, and that secondary hidden data series, we'll change that to daily. So at least one day. We'll leave that transparent and then hit OK. And the last thing we'll want to do is come here to the indicators and just verify if we do have that calculated from the daily interval here. Have to change the scaling. Now it's important to note when you are using multiple data series that NinjaTrader is going to use what's referred to as equidistant bar spacing. But what I'm going to need to do here is come to the data series, and I need to change the number of days that we have set to load so we can have that indicator calculate further back. So you can see that is definitely possible, Norm. You can do that without any interval. The way the chart appears, though, may depend on the data series that you've got selected there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and come to our data series. We're going to remove that daily, and I'm just going to work with just a single data series here. And what I'd like to do now that we have our chart completely set up the way that we'd like, I'd like to just save all of these settings in a template so we can bring this up later. So that's going to be all of our chart properties, the color for the up bars, the down bars, the indicators we've added. We'd definitely be able to add that or save these into a template just by right-clicking on the chart, select templates, and then come down here to save as, and just give this a name. Just call this our call this our webinar template, and then hit OK. And I'm going to come back to our control center. We're going to open a new chart now, and I'd just like to show you that since we changed and saved all of these options and saved them into a template, come up here to chart. Maybe we say we want to bring up the YM here. Rather than having to reconfigure all of these options, we can come down here to load the following chart template and set that to the template we'd saved. So we can select webinar and then hit OK. And that opened up on another monitor, but let me bring it into view. You can see here this has loaded all of those same settings that we had saved before. So that's all of the color properties and indicators that we had set there. So what we have here is the the ES on the right and the YM on the left. Right. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this YM chart. We're going to get back to our ES chart. And the last thing I'd like to talk to you guys about here today are the different drawing tools that are available. Now let me go ahead. I'm going to actually re-enable our toolbar so we can easily access these. But keep in mind that the drawing tools are available down below. If you prefer to have that toolbar turned off, you can always get to these drawing tools. But I'm going to come back here to properties, and we're going to set that toolbar to true and hit OK. You can see that's added that toolbar up at the top. So now we can just take a look at some of the drawing tools that we have available. So you can come down to this drop-down menu and select any of these items you'd like to draw. So for example, if you'd like to draw a line on the chart, you can come here to the line tool. Your cursor is now going to turn into a pen to indicate that you are in a draw mode now. And you can just click once to start that line and click again to set it down. So once you have that line drawn, you do have the ability to come here and manipulate that if you'd like to move it a bit, or if you'd like to resize that, you can do that by adjusting any of these relative anchors. You can also change the appearance of any of these drawing objects if you just double click on the line itself, which brings up the line properties. So we can change this instead of a blue line, we can have this set to maybe, we'll go with a cadet blue and then select apply. You can see that change the color. You'd also be able to change the width if you'd like. You can change the appearance of the dash style. You can change that as well. Now, one thing that you might notice is once you've changed those options, the next time we go to bring up that line, and we draw it again, you can see that it's just using those default options again. So what we'll want to do is on the object that we have set up just to our liking, we'll want to double click on this option and make sure to hit set default. Once we hit set default and then hit OK, the next time we draw a line, it's going to inherit the properties from that object that we had set as default. So you can see as I draw on the chart again, instead of being that thin blue color, it's inherited that cadet blue with the dash style and the thicker width that we'd configured. Just a few other drawing objects to point out here. I believe someone was asking about drawing a line, an arrow on the chart. There's a few different arrows that are available. There is an arrow line that you can draw. So if you come down here and select that item, you can see you can draw an arrow shape on the chart itself to indicate direction. You can also double click on that as well and change the color and the appearance if you'd like. There are also some chart markers that are available, which also have some arrows as well. So you can see if maybe you just want an arrow up here, you can come down to arrow up, select that down below, and that's drawn just a small arrow there. Come back to the drawing tools menu and come to chart marker. There's also an arrow down. You can see there's diamonds and squares. There's a lot of shapes there that you can draw on the chart. There's also some Fibonacci objects that are available, like the retracements, extensions, time extensions, and circles. If you single left click on one of these items, you can see we're now in draw mode. And to draw this Fibonacci retracement, we'll just click once to start it at our 100% line, and then click again to set it down for the 0%. As far as the appearance of this, once again, you can just double click on the anchor line, and you can see you do have the option to change the Fibonacci properties. You can add or remove different lines here. So if we wanted to remove maybe the 23.6 and the 76.4, go ahead and hit apply. You can see that's removed those lines. You can also change the color of them. You can extend the lines. If you want to make those move all the way to the right of the chart, you can do that as well. So you can see I said extended line to the right, and you can see that's extending all the way to the right of the chart. You can also change exactly where the text location is. So instead of this inside left, you can set that to maybe extreme right. And you can see that's moved it all the way to the right side of our chart. Now, as far as the templates, you do have the ability to save these, or what I should say is these options that we've set up here, you do have the ability to save these into different templates. So if you've got many different ideas that you're using with these objects, you can come here and select Manage Templates. We'll just call this webinar, for example, and select Save, and then OK. And the next time we bring up a Fibonacci retracement, just going to draw that there. You can see that's inherited those default properties. But if I come back here and set this to that webinar template, you can see once we hit apply, that's going to inherit those options we set before. As you can see, we've got a few objects on the chart. If we'd like to clean this up a bit, you can also do this from this drawing tool menu. You can also delete these objects directly from the chart itself. So for example, if we want to just remove this line here, we can highlight that and select the delete key on our keyboard, and that's removed only that line we selected. But there are a few other methods for cleaning up this chart. So if we come here to drawing tools, come down to remove drawing objects, you can see you have the ability to select any individual objects. So for example, if we only wanted to remove the Fibonacci retracements, we can just select that option and then select OK. And you can see that's cleaned up only the Fibonacci retracements, but it's left our lines, arrows, and chart markers here. If you wanted to completely clean up the chart and remove all the objects, you can also do that by coming to the Drawing Tools menu and select Remove Drawing Objects. And just it should default to Select All. If you keep that selected and then hit OK, you can see that's cleaned up all those objects. See, Janice is saying, how do you do that little arrow again, please? No problem, Janice. So from the drawing tools, there's a few arrows. There's an arrow line, which is going to be that line with the arrow. Or if you come down to the drawing tools, there is the chart marker option where you have the ability to draw an arrow up, or arrow down, triangle up, triangle down. There's a few markers you can choose from here. But we can select that arrow up, for example, and then just select exactly where we'd like to place that. And Ali is saying, I have a demo chart, but timer bar doesn't work. Can you help me, please? Ali, I'll unfortunately need you to email support@ninjatrader.com and report any trouble you're having with that bar timer indicator. I guess just a few things. Just make sure you do have that set to a minute bar, like a 15-minute, a 5-minute, and that should work. But if you're not seeing the results you're expecting there, please email support@ninjatrader.com. All right, everyone, that is about all the material I set out to cover here today. Unfortunately, I don't have time to get into Chart Trader, but I would also like to remind everyone that we do have a Chart Trader specific webinar that's hosted each week where the webinar is designed with Chart Trader specifically in mind. I'd also like to send you a link here to the Chart Trader help guide where you'll be able to find some information on charting directly from the chart and using some of these order entry features to trade directly from the chart itself. And of course, we also have our video library, which is going to discuss some of the chart trader concepts as well. Other than that, like I said, that is about all the material I set out to cover. If there are any additional questions, please feel free to go ahead and type those in the room now. I do have a few more minutes to answer any additional questions that you guys might have. But before we finish, I did want to take a moment to thank Easy Color Trading for sponsoring today's event. And if you get a chance, please join Easy Color Trading for an introduction to their products and services on Thursday, December 22nd at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, and also visit the Ninjatrader website to view all of our partners and partner events. For those of you who need to get going, I appreciate you spending this time with me here today. I definitely hope I was able to teach you something. I definitely love to see everyone here in this room joining us again for any of the additional webinars we have throughout the week. If any questions do come to mind, keep in mind you can always email us at support@ninjatrader.com, and we're always happy to answer any educational questions that you might have, or if you are having any trouble with anything, feel free to email us. DI is asking one more time, can you see both bid and ask both at the same time on the chart? All right, there are a few indicators that'll show the bid ask. You know, I guess I don't know exactly what you're looking for or how you want this to be presented. But for example, we do have a volume up-down indicator, which is going to show you historically some of that, excuse me, the volume up-down that'll show you historically what the bid and ask is doing. Like I said, I don't know exactly how you want that to be displayed there. There are a few indicators. I'd also suggest taking a look at our support forum where there are some add-ons that you can get that's also going to display those in a different manner. All right, guys, that's about all the time I had here for you. Once again, I appreciate you spending this time here with us today. If any other questions do come to mind, please email us at support@ninjatrader.com. Other than that, I'm going to wish you guys a great rest of your day and great luck trading out there.